The Drug Alternative Program presents Drugs Close to Home. Your weekly insight into the ongoing stories of struggle, victory, and the spiritual renewal of rehabilitation. Each week, Cliff and Freddie Harris, co-founders of the Drug Alternative Program, would like to introduce you to the many people who have touched their lives through their spirit-filled ministry. But most of all, they would like to share with you the blessings they continue to receive from Jesus Christ. And now, your hosts of Drugs Close to Home, Cliff and Freddie Harris.
Welcome to Drugs Close to Home, a program about the destruction that drugs causes our families.
And the power of Jesus Christ to heal them. We believe every life is worth saving.
And Freddie, that is so true, because every saved life is a miracle from God.
Amen. You know, honey, we always talk about the blessings that the Lord give us.
And you know what, Freddie, we have so many.
Yes.
So many, because God is so good to us. It's like a lot of times I say to myself, Lord, why are you so good to me? You know?
I remember one particular blessing. We were traveling from California to Alabama.
Oh, yes.
Trying to find a hotel room. And what happened, honey?
Oh, I went in the hotel. We went to about maybe 3 or 4. And there were no rooms nowhere in the inn. So we went to this one hotel.
Drury Inn.
To the Drury Inn. And the lady said, we have no room. So I said to her, why don't you put somebody out? Just put somebody out. And she laughed at me, you know, because I meant it as a joke. And I was getting ready to walk away. She says, oh, just a minute. I have a cancellation right here on the screen.
And that was who?
Nothing but God.
Just in the nick of time, and we got the room.
Nick of time, because we were tired.
Yes.
We had driven all day, and we wanted to rest and just lay back for a minute.
The Lord
opened up that way just for us.
Just for us.
Just for us.
Okay, today we have a special guest. This is George Debrota.
Oh, George.
Yes, sir.
How much cocaine have you used? When is the last time you got high?
I haven't. Sorry.
George is a member of our church and a major donor of Drug Alternative Program. Your support, you know, financially and just being there for us has been a blessing. And what is your position?
I work at the School of Dentistry as a dental laboratory technician. I have a little task that I do is I process student dentures for them. I do some relines and a little flippers on occasion when there is a need for them. But
so, honey, you were talking to George and it sounded so interesting.
Yes.
We said, we want you to come on this program,
We
tell
were
our
talking
guests.
at the campus one day when we were working up there, you know, we were
Right.
cutting grass at the campus.
At Loma Linda University campus.
And we got to talking about teeth. And I asked you about, because I heard this, that when you don't have your teeth and you have dentures in your teeth, you don't taste your food. You don't taste the food. And what was the answer that you gave?
well, the answer to that was yes, that is correct. You lose some of your taste because some of the taste buds are in the back of your mouth. Now, the back of your tongue tastes bitter, it's flavors. The back of your mouth, there are other tastes that are picked up there. If you get a complete denture like this is an example of, it covers that area and therefore you may not be able to taste everything, and sometimes food will taste bland to you.
Okay, so how many years have you worked at Loma Linda University? By the way, you guys, we have a work therapy program, and these guys work to pay for part of their recovery. So Loma Linda University is our largest account, so we're always at Loma Linda University, and that's where you work, George. So how long have you been there?
I began working at the Loma Linda University in 1976, and I worked there part-time. It was a part-time job. They were looking for somebody to do student castings, and they apparently had tried getting people to seek employment for that type of work, and nobody was interested. And so somebody one day gave me a call. I just finished college. I was at home, really had nothing to do. I was going to be taking some night classes and some day classes, and I got a call. Said, "Are you interested?" I said, "Well, yeah, I could use a little money." So they said, "Well, come on down. I'd like you to talk to a couple people." And I came down, and I got introduced. I had a little conversation, and they took me up to a place where they did the casting. They say, "Okay."
Now, what is casting?
Casting is a process where an item, whether it's a crown or a piece of jewelry, is placed inside a material that will withstand heat. Mm-hmm. Usually it's designed in wax, and so it is the wax is lost inside a furnace. It's called the technique is called lost wax technique. The wax is burned out. The mold is heated to a certain temperature. Once the temperature is stabilized throughout the mold, then the alloy in a special machine is melted, and the ring that holds the pattern is placed in the machine, the casting machine. And once everything is set, then the machine is set to its task of casting. Mm-hmm. And once the casting is cooled and everything is removed from around the actual casting, then you end up with whether it's a crown or some other item, then it's polished and adjusted, made to fit on a preset model.
And ready for the patient.
And ready for the patient.
Okay.
Right.
Now share some of the things that you do. I noticed you have different teeth and all kinds of things. So share some of the things
I
that you
have
do.
brought, one of the things I have brought with me is a reline. It is, what happens to patients is, as we get older and we don't always take good care of our teeth, we lose them, and eventually we end up with a denture. The problem with dentures, like all things in life, is they need maintenance. Your automobile needs maintenance. Good Lord created us on the 6th day, and He pronounced us very good, better than the earth. And so I consider ourselves a 1,000,000-mile automobile, or 10 million mile, depending on how long you expect to live, instead of the Volkswagen or Honda that's good for, fewer miles. Anyway, with time, what happens once you lose your teeth through neglect or through bad habits, you end up with a denture. And what happens there is the denture, after a while, becomes loose, and so it rattles around in the mouth, and so patient puts in some goop in there to keep it stable.
Well, what about that goop? It's always advertised on TV, and it tells you how it works, and it's
the best thing in the world. Yes. Well, there's a better thing beyond that, is do a reline, which means you take up the space where the goop is, and you put fresh material in there, fresh acrylic, and it goes back on the little jig, and the jig goes back together.
So in other words, you have to take your dentures back
to the dentist.
And have them to work them reline.
Right.
That's the best way.
They take an impression, and the impression is sent to the laboratory, which is me at the school. Well, one of me. There's several other people that do similar work. And that ends up getting fresh material. The excess acrylic is removed, the denture is polished, and given back to the denture patient for wearing maybe 6 months, maybe 2 years, depending on, how much care is needed.
Now I see different kinds of teeth there. What is that?
Okay, I brought some teeth with me. These are upper teeth. Now there's one missing there, but these are upper teeth, and that's how dentures are made. They use teeth. This is a different shade than this shade, but the color of the teeth, that is. Different people have different shade of teeth, and the idea is to match. The latest trend nowadays is bleaching.
Oh.
Nothing new, really. It's just advertised on television now. Everybody's doing
Oh,
bleaching.
right. Is
'cause
that
they
healthy?
Healthy. Let me answer it this way. We've been bleaching our teeth as humans for over 100 years. 100 some years ago, they used to use hydrochloric acid to do the bleaching. Unfortunately, it destroys the enamel, and so you end up with teeth that look like bone. They use today hydrogen peroxide, which is a little less damaging, but people that bleach end up usually in time with sensitive teeth, and it's mainly because of the bleaching. So it's not the best.
So when you see on the toothpaste whitening, you know, that's bleaching, and
It's some kind of a bleaching
and
material.
it's not too good. It's not good for us to.
Well, it's not the healthiest, but
Yeah.
we as humans do a lot of unhealthy
Right.
things.
Quick
You know.
fixes.
Oh yeah, we eat, we were told we were supposed to be vegetarian. And we were told also that there's certain meats that are clean and certain meats that are not clean, and people eat all kinds of things, and then they wonder why their health is failing them.
Right.
So yes, we do a lot of things that aren't the wisest or the best, but we do them, and we
pay the consequences for
we
it.
pay the consequences sometimes even with our lives.
Right. Now, what is that large set of?
Okay,
Yeah.
this large set of teeth that I brought with me is a model, oversized model of a natural dentition that was designed by a doctor who said the reason for it is so when the teeth come together like so, and most of us when we eat, we go through certain movements, and this is designed so you can go through those certain movements. And so as a technician that makes crowns or bridges and things like that to replace missing teeth or damaged teeth, so we have some kind of anatomy, so the teeth actually when we chew will do the job of chewing instead of having big blocks there that really don't do much of anything.
Right. Right.
But
Well, here's what we want to do right now. Let's take a break,
okay.
and we're going to come back. There's some questions I want to ask you about what does drugs do to our teeth and our bodies. So we want you just to stick by, and we'll come back and talk about that. Is that okay?
All right, sounds
All right,
wonderful.
okay. We'll be right back.
My life was a complete mess. I was in and out of prison, addicted to methamphetamine and marijuana and alcohol.
My drug of choice was marijuana, and I smoked a lot. I dealed marijuana, so I didn't have to go on the streets and, look for it because it was always around me.
A year ago today, I was poisoning myself with alcohol, destroying my life, not only mine, but my family's also.
Today, I am stable, disciplined, get up every morning, go to work. I'm blessed and I'm happy and not going back.
But coming here to this program has made me realize that I am loved, God loves me, I am needed, my family needs me, and that there is hope for me.
Coming through these doors of DAP, it's taught me a lot about myself, and it still teaches me to this day that I continue to look within myself and search myself on a daily basis, because I'm not perfect and I still fall short. But one thing I do know, I have people here at DAP that is not afraid to pull my shirt tail and tell me, hey, you need to get back in line.
See, a year ago I was on my downward spiral, and I didn't know that I was going to go as far as I went. And one day I ended up walking the streets of Seattle after being kicked out of a crack house. And I was on the streets of Seattle, and the shame and guilt wouldn't allow me to call, wouldn't allow me to go anywhere. And finally, through encouragement of my family, I called DAP. And I was glad that DAP accepted me. And unless DAP is supported, the doors cannot stay open.
One of the most rewarding things to a human being is to be involved in the life of another human being and to play an instrumental part in seeing that human being succeed and flourish and do well. Donors play a direct role in the transformation of lives like mine. Through their funding, through their resources, through their time and their sacrifices, they are directly affecting my life. And I'd like to say that if you're considering to be a donor, I would plead with you, I would encourage it. I would ask you to consider what a difference it would make to people who want to change, who have the desire to change, but for some reason, because of the effects of drug and alcohol and their addiction to it, are in an impasse. It's like there's a block there somehow. They want to get better, but they can't. What you do helps them get past that. And once they get past that and cross that bridge and finally become changed people, is a reward that has a value beyond measure.
Welcome back. We're talking to George Debrota, who is a dental technician at Loma Linda University School of Dentistry. You know, one thing I like about you, George, and that's your ponytail. I want you to show the audience your ponytail.
Well, I've been blessed with hair. A lot of my coworkers and friends are a little not so well blessed.
How long have you had your ponytail?
About 4 years.
About 4 years. And who takes care of your hair? It looks so nice.
My wife takes effort every morning and makes sure that it looks good.
Well, it does look good.
She braids it for you?
She braids it every morning.
All right. Isn't that a blessing?
That's
His
a blessing.
wife takes care of him.
Well, I like your ponytail.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, let's get back. I want to ask a question about, I have a client here now.
Uh-huh.
He fell off the ladder.
Yes.
And we all came to him and he, you know, he was okay.
Right.
But we saw blood coming out of his mouth.
Okay.
You know, and I thought that, man, you know, I mean, he just fell just a little bit and that was it. And I said, oh man, you know, you're bleeding at the mouth. He says, Mr. Harris, he says, that's from the meth. So tell us about the drugs and what it does to the teeth. Because I've seen pictures where people who have meth have really, I mean, just lost all of their teeth.
Right.
And everything in their mouth. Explain that to us.
Well, any kind of a substance that people use, whether it's sugar in sweets, affects the teeth in one way or another.
So sugar can affect our teeth?
Correct. If you eat too much sugar and you don't brush your teeth or brush them too soon after you eat the sugar, you can actually damage your teeth.
So it's good to brush your teeth right after eating
It's
sugar.
a good idea to rinse your mouth with water before you actually brush your teeth. Give it a chance for the sugar or whatever you've eaten to be removed from the teeth. Because what happens with certain kinds of food, like let's say you like orange juice or oranges.
Well, I take lemon juice every morning, and so I take my lemon juice, and after that I brush my teeth.
Okay. What might be a better idea, for instance, with lemon juice or orange juice, or even oranges or tangerines or something like that, is rinse it out with water before you brush it.
Oh, okay.
Because
does the citrus have something to do with our teeth, you know, because you said about eating oranges and things like that?
right. When I personally eat oranges, I get, after I eat 2 or 3 of them, my teeth become a little sensitive because the citric acid, which is in oranges, attacks the teeth and softens them a little bit. And so before I brush, what I do is I rinse my mouth out with water and let the teeth sit a while before I actually brush them.
That's good for me to know because I drink lemon juice every morning, and usually right after the lemon juice, I brush my teeth. So now I need to rinse my mouth out
Right.
and kind of let it sit for a while, and then brush my teeth.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about the drugs in our teeth.
Okay. What happens to the average individual that starts using drugs? There are a couple things we have to kind of look at first. Is their desire for eating is diminished.
Right.
A lot of times they'll forego the food over the pleasure that the drugs bring them. They've done a study years ago on rats, and what they did is they implanted electrodes in the brains of the rats and put a button inside their cage. And the rats quickly learned that if they pushed the one button, they would get food. And then they would push the other button and it would pleasure them. And they would have these wonderful feelings of euphoria, kind of like drugs or sex or whatever else people do to make them happy. And before long, the rats were just pushing the pleasure button instead of eating, and they literally starved to death. And what happens to humans, we get so excited about our pleasure that we forget about some of the other more important things.
Like
we forget to eat. We forgot to take care of our
Can I interject right here?
Uh-huh.
When you said about we don't want to eat,
Right.
because I can remember when I was doing the drugs, I wouldn't eat.
Right.
I would go maybe 2 days without eating anything. And I felt like I had to eat something or I wouldn't get my high. It wouldn't work. So it would take me almost 15 minutes trying to just eat a slice of bread, George. I'm not kidding you. I would turn it around in my mouth and turn it around, and it would take me a long time just to even swallow it. And so, you know, we just had a guy come here last night. You know what his drug was? Heroin and meth. Skinny as he can be.
Right.
You know? And right now, he wants to go right back to his drug. Just one night, he wants to leave. And he's leaving.
That's very understandable because the food doesn't bring him the pleasure that the drugs do, and till he gets to the place where he says enough is enough, there's nothing.
And he wouldn't even eat last night.
Right, nothing.
You know, got
nothing
off
anybody.
I don't want nothing to eat.
Yeah, that's very sad because, unfortunately, you know, everybody's important in God's sight, and unfortunately, we as humans, knowingly or sometimes unknowingly, destroy our bodies because of one reason or another.
So, what does the meth do to our mouth? And does it affect the gums by just in the body and the system?
At first it doesn't do a whole lot because the teeth are pretty, you know, they're pretty good, made out of pretty good stuff. But if they're neglected, if they're not kept clean, eventually the materials in the drugs builds up an acid in the mouth, and it just starts tearing up the teeth, literally just dissolving them, and they end up just disappearing, and the gums basically become unhealthy because they're not stimulated. One of the things that happens to most people is when they have end up with a denture, they lose the stimulation they had when they had teeth. Whenever I bite down with my teeth, the way my teeth are designed, there are little shock absorbers attached to the teeth. So when I bite down, if I bite down too hard, there is pain. And my brain tells my mouth, quit that because it's hurting me. Once you lose your teeth, all of a sudden the shock absorbers and the nerve endings aren't quite there as they used to be.
So you don't feel that with dentures like
Well,
you do with your teeth?
You still feel because you have the gums.
But it's not the same.
But it's not the same. And the stimulation to the bone disappears. And because the bone isn't getting stimulated, then it atrophies. And that's why dentures have to be relined, because the mouth isn't getting the stimulation it did when you used to eat. Now, if you're on drugs and you're not eating, you're not stimulating the teeth, you're not stimulating the gums, so everything goes into the toilet, literally. You know, the mouth becomes a human toilet, and eventually they either end up losing all their teeth, or if they end up being able to afford, have restorative work where the teeth are restored back to their previous glory as God created, then they are a high maintenance item. Because they've got to be babied, literally, because if they're not, eventually there'll be more problems.
You know what, Freddie, I think I've learned a lot about how we need to take care of our teeth by just eating an orange or drinking.
Yeah, I drink lemon juice every morning.
How we need to do that.
Right.
I want to ask you another question, George. This is off of the subject of the teeth.
Uh-huh.
Why do you donate to DAP? I'm just sitting here and just came off the top of my mind. I'm asking you, why do you support this ministry?
Oh, I would say it's because of you and your wife and what you do for other people. It's, you know, you have been a great example to me, and I think to a lot of other people. I have never had a need for any kind of a euphoric feeling of drugs, but I do know that there is no way I could do what you guys do. I have no idea where I would start. Yet you're willing to put yourself in a position where you live with the people, you help the people. The few dollars that you get from me and my wife, it's insignificant in terms of what others do and what you do and what you have done in the last 20-some years.
29 years. Can you believe?
We've
been married for 31 years, and we've been doing DAP for 29 years.
Well, see, that's almost as long as I've been working where I've been working.
But it's our call, and this is what the Lord has called us to do, and it's not just a ministry. This is our passion, you know, our passion. And George, we certainly appreciate, you know, he sees all these guys coming to church every Sabbath. You know, you see DAP in action, and it really means a lot to have your support.
You know what he does, Freddie? He'll come up to me sometime and he'll say, Clifford, what do you need? What do you need? And I'm just like,
go away.
But just thank you so much, George.
You're always welcome.
What you do for this ministry. You know, Freddie, he'll come up to us and he'll just say, Clifford, what do you need? You know, at church. And I'm like, ugh.
Go away.
Go away. But we want to thank you again, George, for being with us, okay? And remember, the telephone. We want to hear from you, okay? And we love you.
And Jesus loves you even more.
And we will see you next time.
Amen.
Thank you, George. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate you.